Hi, I'm Jason in Jason's Jungle, and these are my Welsh onions. Welsh onions are a perennial onion. They're sort of a perennial spring onion, and they multiply. They multiply at the base by splitting into more than one bulb as they grow, similar in the way to chives do. So the longer the patch has been in, the more onions will be in the patch if you haven't harvested them. This was planted, I think, the tail end of last year in autumn. So it's only starting now to thicken out and split. As you can tell, it's been in flower. Now I don't actually want the seeds of these. You can collect the seeds, but the patch has grown nicely. I've got another couple of patches elsewhere, so I'm going to remove most of the flowers off of this. I might keep some of the seeds, but harvesting this is pretty simple. There's a few ways of harvesting it. First of all, the flower heads. The flower heads you just basically snap off because they're growing outside of the bulb. They grow on the outside rather than coming through the centre. So you can just break them off, give them a twist and they come off right to the base. And that doesn't harm it. In fact, now it's been, you see this yellow, that's because it's been putting energy into doing this flower and spike. Now it's got more energy just for the main onion. So one way of doing it is to harvest these. These are a bit tougher than the leaves, but they're great for frying or cooking with. Just chop them up and, you know, very nice flavour. Sometimes when you get the flower stalk, there's a bit of a paper over between it and the rest of the onion. You just peel that paper back like here, and that breaks the flower stalk out. So now you've got the stem separate from the flower, and you just give it a twist off and it comes. So that's one way of harvesting it. You harvest the flower stalks. The next way of harvesting it is to actually take off individual leaves from the plant. It doesn't harm the plant can still grow, still got leaves to photosynthesize, and you can take off quite a few from all of them, giving yourself, you know, a reasonable amount of green onion. This one I'm not actually going to harvest. Yeah, I'm going to fill that because it's dying off. But I could take these ones. That's the second way of doing them. The third way is when you got, say, they've been splitting, you can actually lift these up, take out the larger ones, and put the smaller ones back in with a bit more space. So the bulbs, you actually lift the bulbs up. I'm not going to do that today because I want these to bulk up a bit more. But you could actually lift up a clump of these bulbs, put a couple back with more space, a bit of compost with them, and they'll continue to grow and bulk up. So that's the third way of harvesting them. And the fourth way is just to come along, cut them right off at ground level. You leave the bulb intact and you get all the greens and it'll grow back. So if I was to cut this, you've got a nice bit of green there. You know, just peel that off. You don't get any whites, or with these reds, because there's different types of them. But you get lovely greens, so that is nice. But as I said, if you want the white of the onion, you're going to have to lift these up and split them. That's probably going to end up splitting it itself soon. It might actually start to split because of the cut I've made, because it was quite a thick one. There's different types of Welsh onion. This one's a red because it has a reddish skin around the bulb. I've got a white one over there. There's a lot of different Japanese style. They've developed the different styles of onions, and there's an everlasting Welsh onion called Perennial. The Perennial is basically the same, except it doesn't flower, or at least it doesn't flower very often. This is the pot that I've got, which I'm going to be planting out somewhere once I've worked out where. This started off at I think about 5 little bulbs, and it's just kept multiplying, and these are all now starting to split again. So I'm going to have to find somewhere soon. And they don't flower, so they don't end up, you know, losing the energy from the leaves and putting them into the flower stalk. And as I said, just removing the flower stalk, And you can cut them off if you want. Just cut them off right down the bottom. That will now put all its energy into growing its leaves. And that's the Welsh onion. The difference between this and spring onions, I think someone's asked before, is that a spring onion is really just a small regular onion in a way. So your white Lisbons have been bred to be spring onions, but they are basically bulbing onions. They will form a small bulb. This size bulb that I've got here, which is smaller than a ping pong ball kind of thing, is the biggest these will ever form bulbs. An interesting thing is these will cross-fertilise. They will cross-fertilise with normal bulb onions, so if they were flowering, they could cross-fertilise there. And one of the results from that is the Egyptian walking onion, which was parented by these two different onions. So it's a different species, but it can hybridise. So the walking onion is very similar, except it gets top sets, bulbs in there instead of flowers. And that gives you an addition that you can plant them and use them as sets for spring onions. But in the same way, you harvest them exactly the same. So these will give a supply of green onions or spring onions to quite a bit of the year. And that's that.